ask a little true? I'd like to know your point of view.
Hi everyone, welcome to Evening TV. This is Evening Ransom, and I wanted to talk to you today about something that a lot of us do who have been narcissistically abused or abused in any way, especially in childhood, is that we project ourselves forward. It's a type of dissociation. It is a defense mechanism that actually serves a purpose. You know, if our lives are scary or unhappy or something, if there's some sort of abuse going on, a lot of times we can project ourselves forward in time to when it, a better time that we imagine when we grow up, or when we're teenagers, when we're older, when we move out on our own, whatever it is, we project ourselves forward in time. And if you had a narcissistic parent, depending on what kind they were, they might also have really encouraged you to do this. I know in my case, my mother was sort of the neglectful type of narcissistic mother, the ignoring type of narcissistic mother, and she just wasn't really into putting other people's needs first and, the in and out day-to-day process of mothering. Wherever I was in life, she wanted me to be on to the next thing. She wanted me to be older, she wanted me to be more independent. And so there was no acceptance of where I was, the fact that I needed a mother, the fact that I needed protection. There was no place for crying, acting like a baby, things like that. It was, she very much wanted us to grow up. But with a lot of these defense mechanisms, what happens is that while they work in childhood to some degree, they help us to protect us in childhood, they turn dysfunctional in adulthood. And what can happen to you is really the two main problems with this is, one, you miss your life. You miss your life because you're not savoring the moments, you're not enjoying the moments. There's a big talk now about mindfulness and being present in time. Well, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about staying present in your current reality. Not only will it, make you happier, make you enjoy and appreciate your life so that you don't end up at the end of it and feeling like you missed it all, especially if you have little kids, you don't miss the different stages, you can enjoy them along the way, because you don't know what the future holds. You don't know, there's no guarantee of what the potential future is going to be. And in my case, I had a son that died at 20. So had I been projecting myself forward the whole time till he grew up in the way that my mother did, it would have been especially tragic when he died. Because I would have never gotten there. I did do that a lot in my life, but with my kids, fortunately, I really always was really tapped in to where they were. I tried to savor the ages they were, because somehow I knew that they were going to grow up fast, and these stages were going to be gone forever. And so I really tried to tap in, even though I was being abused and things like that, and it was really, my life wasn't so happy. I still tried to enjoy where they were as much as I could. If you don't do this, not only will you miss your life, but you'll also miss potential abuses that are going on, because you'll project yourself forward. And I know in my first marriage, I would always tell myself, this is just a hard time. We'll get through this. Maybe later, I'm sure by the time, this financial crisis happens, gets better, things will be back to normal. Things like that. You're always projecting yourself forward. And also, you'll also miss potentially things that are going on with your health, because the body keeps score. The body pays attention to what maybe you're not. And if you've learned to depersonalize or dissociate from your pain, you're really in jeopardy of doing this. And in my case, again, what happened was I had a heart attack at 33 years old. I had something called coronary artery dissection, where I am sure that I missed all kinds of signs along the way, because I was just so used to ignoring and denying my reality that I ended up having a heart attack and a near-death experience. That ended up being a huge eye-opener, because once I was vulnerable and really had needs, then my whole life imploded. And so, then I was able to see what I had been doing and what I had been ignoring, and the fact that I had been putting up with a lot of abuse for a lot of years. And it wasn't just my husband who did it, it was my parents and my brother also, because I had grown up as a scapegoat in my family. So, this is just sort of a thing to try to ask yourself if you're doing that, if you might be doing that, because it really is a good idea to tap into your life, because if your life isn't working, the answer is not to project yourself into a potential future life. The answer is to embrace reality and make your life work. You know, have your present life be a life that's working. And so if you don't do that, things will just compound. It's bad for your health, it's bad for your kids, it's bad for everything to do that. And also, when it comes to the end of the day, or the end of your children's childhoods, or the end of whatever, you end up moving and leaving your dream house, or whatever it is, you will have appreciated and enjoyed the time you were there. And this really came home to me when my son died, because I really was able to celebrate his life, because I had been such a big part of it, and he had been such a big part of mine. The only saving grace in any of it was the fact that I hadn't been, just trying to get to this one day future. And as it turns out, in my case, this one day future was really going to start when my kids would be, when they were 18 and out of high school. Then they were no longer legally bound to my ex. And we had just gotten there. My youngest son was 18 and had just finished high school, and 3 weeks later his 20-year-old brother died. So, had I been really hanging on for that day, it really would have been devastating. It was devastating regardless, but it would have been worse. At least now I can, I can reflect on 20 years that I spent with my son, really getting to know him and loving him and being, deeply engaged with him, and that is a saving grace. My mother also just died, and she definitely couldn't have done that, because we had been estranged for 20 years. She didn't know me at all, really. She'd been rushing me along all along, and then had been estranged from me for the last 20 years and didn't really know my kids that well or anything. So, that's a tragic thing. Of course, she was narcissistic, so she didn't have the regrets and the remorse and the heartbreak that a normal parent would have, or that I would have. But anyway, this is just something to really ask yourself. And if you find that you are doing that, if you find that you are sort of dissociating and not staying present and mindful in your now, the way to fix that is to get into your body. Do something physical that puts your awareness back in your body. You can do some exercise, some yoga. You can dance, turn on music and dance. You can even just shake. Just like shake from your, concentrating on shaking from your head to your toes. Animals do this. Animals do this when they've had something upsetting happen and they need to let the energy of that upset go. It's a way that they avoid trauma, like having lasting trauma. And so, especially if you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, this is going to be important for you to do, because if you have post-traumatic stress disorder, you've learned to do this. This is a way of life for you, almost guaranteed. So, this is just, something I really haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and something to just sort of ask yourself if you might be doing, because you don't want to end up missing your life, and you also don't want to end up missing abuse that's happening and being unhappy in the present day, because really that's all we ever have is the present day. And so making sure that the present is working is what matters. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Please put in the comments if you have any experience with this, and I will talk with you later. Thanks a lot.